We're going to start off here with this clip from Megyn Kelly, where she kind of sums up the state that the Democratic Party is in right now. And it's not good. You know, it's not good at all. It's not apparent. It doesn't appear to be getting any better. The Republicans are gaining voters. Democrats are losing voters. Democrats historically always had an advantage over Republicans with more registered voters. And now it seems to be that that's pretty much a wash now. They're pretty much equal. So let's take a look at this clip. She does a good summary of an article here, and then we'll talk.
Piece Out of Power. This hit today by Shane Goldmacher with Jonah Smith and is going on about the voter registration crisis that the Democrats are facing. The subhead is "The party is bleeding support beyond the ballot box," according to a new analysis. And the highlights of this thing show as follows. While there are still more Democrats registered nationwide than Republicans, though they point out that's simply because in states like California, you can register by party, whereas in a lot of red states, you can't. So that's even questionable. They say, nonetheless, for the first time since 2018, more new voters nationwide chose to be Republicans than Democrats last year. Of the 30 states that track voter registration by political party, Democrats lost ground to Republicans in every single one between 2020 and 2024, and often by a lot. That 4-year swing toward the Republicans adds up to 4.5 million voters, a deep political hole that could take years for Democrats to climb out from. It goes on to say all 4 presidential battleground states covered by the Times analysis, Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, all of them showed significant Democratic erosion. In North Carolina, Republicans erased roughly 95% of the registration advantage that Democrats held in the fall of 2020. They quote Michael Pruser, who tracks voter registration closely, as the director of data science for Decision Desk HQ, an election analysis site, quote, "I don't want to say the death cycle of the Democratic Party, but there seems to be no end to this. There is no silver lining. There is no cavalry coming across the hill. This is month after month, year after year." That's a red alarm for the Democrat Party, 5-alarm fire, however you want to put it. And to me, it's very interesting because I don't think this is all Trump. I support Donald Trump, but I don't think you can say he did this because the erosion was steady from 2020 to 2024, Mark Halperin, which tells me it's the Democrats that are causing the mass exodus. Your thoughts?
Well, a little bit of both. I applaud the New York Times for finally writing this piece. I'm next month going to publish a story about the decline of network television news and the rise of YouTube. This has been going on for a long time. This is not some breaking news. We were talking about it on Two-Way last fall because the numbers were there. I think that it's partly the Democrats' woke weakness. It's partly Trump. But part of why this happened and why it's continued to happen is the Democrats and their allies in the media live in a blue bubble. This alarm should have been pulled, as my joke suggested, years ago, because it's been happening right before everybody's eyes. But because the press doesn't like to write negative stories about the Democrats, it's only now that they're saying, well, we better confront this because nothing really is being done to address it. As the story says, they don't really have a plan to fix it. Part of this is mechanics. Allies of President Trump were extremely professional and skillful using technology and blood, sweat, and tears to re-register people, get people registered. But part of it is not the mechanics, it's the reality that the Republican brand, partly Trump, has risen with groups that previously were Democratic-leaning groups like younger people, young Black men, young Hispanic men. But part of it is the Democratic brand, coupled with their lack of the mechanics, has really accelerated a trend that is, as the story says, it's not over, and the Democrats currently don't have a circuit breaker.
Yeah, exactly. This is shouldn't come as a surprise really to anybody. I mean, the Democrats tried their hardest to alienate almost every group in the country. They wagged their fingers at everybody. They judged everybody. They tried to police everybody. They tried to act like they were the morally superior ones. They ran way off in the deep end on all the wrong issues. The 4 years under Biden, it just got worse and worse and worse. Started by locking everybody in their houses. I mean, it's not surprising that they would be still losing voters. I mean, they went so hard on the woke crap that they just alienated so many people. And so, I mean, this is really astonishing how badly the Democrats have screwed up. So, like Megyn was saying, every single state that tracks voter registration, which there are 30, in every single state, the Democrats have lost voters and the Republicans have gained voters. And when you add it all up, Democrats have lost about 2.1 million and Republicans gained 2.4 million. So that's a net swing of 5 million votes. That's huge. That is massive. So, I mean, I guess congratulations to the Democrats, because that's pretty impressive, actually, to pull off the nuking of your own party that well. It's almost as if it was done deliberately, but it was just purely through incompetence and ideology and cramming their mythology down everybody's throat. So congratulations, Democrats. You lost so well. You're like the champions of losing, and you're still losing. Take a look at this chart. This is a chart that New York Times, I believe this is from the New York Times, they put out. This is a graphic of what's going on. These are the 30 states, okay, that do voter registration, that lets you identify your party in voter registration. So you can see on the left there that the blue arrows are all going down. This is the percentage, this is the number of registered voters that they've lost. Longer the arrow, the more they've lost. And then on the right, you see the Republicans, and the arrows are all going up that they've gained. Well, they're not necessarily, because there's some independents that gained the Democrat. And so not necessarily all of them went up in the Republicans, but all of them did go down in Democratic. So even with new registrants, the Dems are down to 29% in 2024 from 36% in the past. So it's really this whole demographic shift. And so a lot of these voters do shift to independent, but then there's a lot of independents that are shifting to Republican. So the Republicans have gained more voters than the Democrats have lost. And so, I mean, you guys have probably heard a lot of these stats, like the Hispanic vote, for example. It was nearly split. It was 51-48 Harris-Trump. That's impressive. I wouldn't have guessed that. So for people who think that the illegal immigration and the opening of the borders was to pack these Democrat cities with more voters, it doesn't seem that that's necessarily turning out that way. I guess it's probably more for census reasons, because illegals are counted in the census. So you get more political power, more representation that way, because the illegals are bringing more to you. So also the black vote for GOP doubled with Trump. It went from 8% to 15%. And Asian Americans also went much higher for Trump, I believe 45%. So men definitely trended way more for the GOP, men of all demographics. and especially young men. And the difference between young men and young women is staggering. I don't have the numbers with me, but it's something like 70% of them are lean conservative, and the exact opposite for young women. They're like 70 or 80% of them lean left. So they've got a huge divide in their generation. But this chart, I thought, really showed well what's all going on with this and how bad this is for the Democrats. They didn't even get one state. They didn't gain any in even one state. How in the world are they going to overcome something like that? I don't think they're going to be able to. I think that it's going to take something massive, and it's probably not going to work with Trump light Gavin Newsom trying to act like a tough guy.